Hey guys, thank you for watching the Rainbow and Bloom channel. I'm Melissa and I am doing this video today at night because I was supposed to do this earlier. I've been telling you guys I was going to cover this topic this week and I wanted to get to it after a long day. But anyway, I've been contacted several times about by people who are recently diagnosed with scleroderma. And I mean, if you have had the illness for a while, you can probably think back and relate to what they're going through. The panic and that feeling of just like an out of body experience because you are hearing things that sound terrible and you don't know what to do. You don't know, you're not getting any real answers. You have a diagnosis and that's cool, but it's then like, okay, what do I do now? Like, how am I supposed to live my life? What do I do? Because this is a rare illness and there's a lot more out here now like than when I first got diagnosed in 2006, but still it's not something that is readily like where there's information readily available. You really have to dig. But so the first thing I wanted to say about getting, what to do after you have a diagnosis is don't panic. And I know that's hard because if you just gotten diagnosed, it's very likely that you've been living with these weird symptoms for at least a year. And so you've gone through the emotional repercussions of that, social, having to adjust your social life, um, and, whatever else, relationships and people having ideas about you, maybe assuming things about you. And you might have felt like maybe you probably even felt like it was all in your head too, like, well, maybe I'm just stressed out, or I need to fix my diet, or I'm just like, something going on in my head. Like, it's, you might have thought that you were making it up, so there's a lot mentally that you have probably gone through. And then finally you have a doctor tell you exactly what the issue is, that there is a name for all these things that have been happening to you at once, and it's treatable but not curable. And that's the thing that gets you at first. Like, what do you mean it's not curable? You know? And you don't want to believe that. And you don't have to believe it, really. Um, Not curable. Now, I talk about, you know, living and thriving with scleroderma and how I was able to overcome the illness. But the thing about it is, there are things that stay with you permanently no matter what. Like, it affects you permanently. Um, if you have watched any of my previous videos, you know that I was completely disabled. I went through a lot of the worst things. I never got the contractions, the contractures, whatever. So I know it could get a lot worse than I had it, but I had it very bad. Like, I was basically dying from scleroderma for a while, until I was blessed with cancer. um, so yeah, so it's a lot. It's a lot. You feel overwhelmed, and the diagnosis is just the beginning of this whole other ordeal, you know. But I want to tell you what to do to prepare yourself. So this is what to do the first year after diagnosis because you want to prepare yourself for the known unknown, and the unknown unknown. Because one of the things your doctor probably told you is that um, it is, how do I word this? There's a, I said it's been a long day. Um, so everybody's scleroderma is different, is the point I'm trying to make. So, there are all these symptoms that come together and form this diagnosis. That's how it's diagnosed, by the symptoms. But every person has their own version, that's unique to them. And so there are the unknown unknown is exactly what path the illness will take for you, you know. But then there are the known unknowns, which are other symptoms that could develop in time. Another unknown unknown is how far the illness will go with you, um, and the symptoms that you will have. Because some people have limited, some people have diffuse, and some people, like my cousin, has it only in her skin. Like, she doesn't really have the issues that I had. So everybody has it differently, and you just don't know exactly what's going to happen, but you have an idea of some of the things that could happen. And then you the other thing you don't want to do is psych yourself out. So one thing that you want to remain positive. You want to try to cultivate a positive attitude. That will come in time, but you don't want to psych yourself out with all the stuff you're going to be reading, or probably have already been reading on the internet and in books, because that can it can get really bad really fast, so you don't want to think about, like, a lot of the information out here is about death. Like, scleroderma is potentially fatal, right? But there are medications now that have helped to reduce that. And so life expectancy for people with scleroderma is a lot better than it used to be. And I'm making tea. So there's that. But I want to tell you, like I said, what you do the first year after diagnosis. And there are about 3 or 4 things I want to tell you about in my less than prepared. It's in my head. I didn't write anything down, but it's in my head. So the most important thing you do the first year after diagnosis is to get your team together. You're going to need that. You're going to need your medical team. You're going to need your home team. And you're going to need, let's stick with those 2. I think there are 3 teams that I was thinking about, but you definitely need your medical team, and you definitely need your home team. And, okay, so what's the medical team? So your medical team is going to be the doctors who will monitor you from here on out, and then the tests that you will need to form a baseline. And you're hopefully, if you have a diagnosis, it's from either a rheumatologist or a dermatologist, and they have told you that they want to take some tests, blood tests and otherwise, to establish a baseline for your health. So everything going forward is going to be compared to that baseline to see how the illness is progressing for you, if at all, right? It could be stable. It could be that, the way it is now, it just kind of stays like that. Who knows? So you want to do a skin test to see how supple your skin is. So they measure the pliability of your skin. You want to do that. A breathing test to see how your lungs are doing. A walking test goes along with that a lot of the time. And then some, your blood work. So they look at your antibodies and some other stuff. There's some basic diagnostics that they should have in place to just get started with treating you. And so you have your medical team being your rheumatologist, your dermatologist, and like your family doctor, like your general practitioner doctor, those three. And then you might have a cardiologist for your heart. That is also something you should probably do. Have your heart looked after, checked on. And then your pulmonologist, that's the lung doctor, because you may have lung involvement. It's very common that scleroderma, because it's causing this overproduction of collagen and then tightening your skin and tightening your tissues. And so it affects the lungs. And that's where the pulmonary hypertension comes from. And that's progressive. That's something that, like, even with my recovery, I have that, and that's not going anywhere unless they come up with something in my lifetime and make it like stop or reverse. Like if you look at my previous video on trail, maybe that it eats up fibrous tissue. So maybe that could lead to something that could undo some of this stuff. Who knows? I keep an open mind. But so those are the, I think, five. Was that five? Oh, gastroenterologist. So you have your dermatologist, your pulmonologist, your rheumatologist, general practitioner, gastroenterologist. That's five. Six is your cardiologist. And I said pulmonologist. Yeah. So those are the doctors. And depending on it's always something. Depending on where your illness is, you may need one more than the other. Like you may not need a cardiologist right now, but it's good to just know. And you may not need a pulmonologist right now. I don't know. It depends on how long you've been dealing with the symptoms. How long it's been progressing in your body. So that's your basic. So you want to get those doctors, and you might have to see a couple doctors before you decide who to stick with, because you need the right people on your team, and that could take a while. You want to have doctors who are, have a good reputation, but have good bedside manner and respect your time, because when you start to see doctor after doctor for a while, it becomes part of your daily or weekly or monthly routine or whatever. You'll notice that there are doctors who don't really care too much about how long it takes before they see you. I had to get rid of one of my rheumatologists who's supposed to be really good. He even does the antibiotic protocol, which was like lightning in a bottle. But he was very disrespectful with time. Very, very, I don't know what his deal was, but I had to get rid of him. So you want to find doctors who respect your time, who are compassionate, who communicate well, and you don't feel like they're rushing you. You're just a number. So you want good doctors who know what they're talking about and treat you like a person, who have some experience and are curious, who don't, if they don't have an answer, just tell you you're making it up, or or you're perfectly fine. You've probably been through that already until diagnosis. So you just don't want doctors like that. And then you want to get, and this is something I'm going to have to give to you guys in the future, but you want to try to be organized as you can be, because as you go along with this illness, you're going to have a lot of medical records and a lot of things to keep track of. And I always thought of this as having a chronic severe illness, like having 10 full-time jobs, including managing the people around you, managing your doctors, keeping up with what they're saying. And the other thing about your medical team is that you want to make sure they're communicating with each other. So I was very fortunate that in Philly, we have University of Penn system, and uh, so all my doctors were in the Penn system, but now these doctors in medical institutions, they share medical info. Like there's a database that they can all share. So like my oncologist in New York could get my permission. I signed the form, and then he could tap into my medical records at Penn and all this stuff like that. So you want to make sure that you have doctors who are communicating, coordinating with each other for your care. I think that's pretty much standard now, but you want to make sure that that's happening. So you want to make sure you keep track of your medications. You want to maybe get a little notebook, write down your meds, who prescribed them for what, because I would constantly lose track of what I was taking something for. It just became a habit. I just take it. I don't know why. And sometimes I would be taking things that I didn't need anymore. So you want to keep track of your meds and their name, dosage, frequency. Sometimes you only need a medication for a certain period of time. And then you also want to keep track of when to get refills. Usually like if you use CVS or something like that, they'll harass you for your refills anyway. But you just want everything written down for a lot of reasons. If you get referred to somewhere else, you want to have your records like organized, and you want to help yourself keep track of stuff because, like I said, it's a lot and it gets overwhelming. So that's your medical team. And then your home team, depending on how sick you are and everything, hopefully you have or will get a social worker who can help you. But you're gonna need help with like your benefits. So if you've been working and you've been paying into Social Security, you can get some level of disability benefits, SSDI. And I have a video on that whole thing from about a year and a half, yeah, over a year ago. If you look back, I'm gonna try to link it in here. Let me remember to do that. Um, so yeah, you're gonna need help with that. And yeah, look at that video for applying, how to go ahead and apply for benefits. Um, and you don't need a lawyer to do that. You could actually just do it yourself. And Social Security, you provide them the names of your doctors and they contact your doctors and everything. You don't need a lawyer for that. Try to do it yourself first. It's really easy. So go look at that video. Maybe you have insurance, long-term disability, short-term disability through your job. That's even better. You can get both. You can get both. And I talk about that in the video too. So there's that. So home is taking care of you beyond going to the doctor. So who's gonna help you? Do you have to move back home with your parents? Or if you have a spouse, then you're really lucky. Do you have to, who is going to help you to manage your life, wash your clothes? Maybe you can do all that stuff on your own right now, but the time may come, there's a known unknown, time might come when you actually need help with that, especially if you have issues with fatigue. Then you should see who can help you, what services you're going to pay for to manage your life, to help you manage your life. What else? There's a lot more to it, but the other important thing is financial management, because another known unknown is that this can get very expensive, and you don't know what you're going to need in the future. So you want to set yourself up for, how can I put it, like financial security as much as you can. So, you know, if you're relatively healthy right now, maybe do what you can to bring in extra money so you can save more, up your insurance coverage, if that's an option for you. Every kind of insurance you can think of, you want to increase that. And saving, you know, if you invest, maybe take some of that money out. And if like you invest regularly, like it comes out of your paycheck, maybe pause that a little bit and increase your saving, because you want to be able to stay independent for as long as possible down the line, as things hopefully not but likely progress with your illness. You want to try to be as independent as possible, have as much of your own cash as possible, so you have more options in the future. What else? What else can I tell you? The first year, yeah, at home, your home team can include your mental health provider, a psychiatrist or psychologist. That can be really helpful with dealing with the emotional aspect of this. And part of the emotional aspect is dealing with the reactions you get from people you know. Sometimes people can be really insensitive and say things and make you feel even more isolated. And this illness can definitely make you feel isolated, um, because it changes your ability to be social. Life just isn't how you used to live. It's not how you used to and how you're comfortable. It's going to change a lot, which I'm sure you've noticed already. So, it's good to have somebody who is impartial to unload on and give you some positive feedback, help you work through all this stuff, because it can be a lot. It can be a lot. So, I'm on a main road, so there's always something. Um, but yeah, but the most important thing, make sure that your doctors are on your side. When you go to your doctors and you talk to them, you feel like um, they care, because some doctors are kind of overwhelmed, and some, whatever. You just want to make sure you have the right medical team working for you. So that's going to take a while. All of that takes a while. It takes a while to process, and it takes a while to figure things out. So give yourself like a year, give yourself a break. Don't feel too much pressure, and just try to surround yourself with positive, positive energy, positive thoughts. Watch your thoughts. Seriously, watch your thoughts. Anyway, they're having a party outside, and I'm almost done, so it's fine. Um, all right. So yeah, um, the first year after diagnosis. Wow. Okay, I'm back. That's Zouk, French Caribbean music. I love Zouk, but Christ's sake. Yeah, so what was I saying? You can, the first year after diagnosis is the time to let everything settle, get your bearings, and don't get psyched out by the things you'll see on the internet, especially pictures of things that happen to people. That's not your story. Like I said, everybody's different, and the treatments are getting better and better. So, yeah, I was gonna say something that I was gonna say, if you're gonna be diagnosed with scleroderma, this is the best time ever because there are so many treatments and more attention being paid to it, more advancements coming up, and you don't want this diagnosis, but if you have it, there's a lot to be hopeful for right now. So don't get psyched out by the stuff, pictures you're seeing and all this, you know, scary stuff. Anything you have to face, you have the strength to get through it. You have the strength to even overcome it. It's in your mind and it's in your spirit. So don't let, especially other people's stories and other people's cynicism and all that get in your head. You know what I mean? You have to kind of watch your mindset and take charge. All right. So, yeah, if you have any questions at all, you leave a comment. You can even email me at rainbowandbloom@gmail.com. I'm Melissa, and I'll talk to you again soon.